Naturegirl 30 here again with my review of Girl Meets Belief. I have never thought that they were going to actually touch on an episode like this. But then you also got to remember, this is Michael Jacobs, the guy who actually made Boy Meets World, who did a lot of controversial stuff when they started growing up. And the whole aspect of sex to emotions, stuff like that. He touched on a lot of subjects that were considered taboo for teenagers at the time. So you can kind of expect him touching on a realm that not a lot of people like talking about. Religion. Not really so much religion. I take that back. Not religion, but God. Nobody likes to really talk so much about that. It's a subject that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. This might be a mixed bag when it comes to, it might be a mixed bag with some people. They may like it, they may not. And it probably depends on whether they believe or whether they don't. But I love that topic. It kind of makes you wonder, what do you believe? And it kind of puts it out there, whether you believe in God, whether or not you don't. You have it out there for people who are around their age. And I love that episode. But mostly I love the episode because I love the growth with Maya. Maya is definitely starting to become a very mature woman. But it also not only is what Maya believes, but it's also showing that Riley doesn't always have to, like, Riley's realizing that her best friend's her best friend, and she's her best friend for that reason. She doesn't have to always agree to everything she says. She doesn't always have to agree to everything that she believes. She has to respect her best friend's beliefs, whether it's what she believes in or whether she doesn't. And I love to see the growth of their friendship there. And also the same thing with Lucas and Farkle. They actually learn something. You don't see Lucas learning anything usually. He's always either trying to figure somebody out or trying to help someone out. But seeing him figure something out, you don't usually see that. But he started to get an idea on how on well, actually, no, I take that back. He didn't learn much, but he did learn something about Farkle. He kind of accepted how Farkle was a man of science, and Farkle started to see the opposite side of the room, the opposite side of everybody else's belief, and started to get an idea on why they believe what they do. And respect was going back and forth there. But there is one negative that I do have about this episode. Mostly it was because you felt like they were trying to force something between Riley and Lucas. They feel more like friends to me than any type of chemistry relationship wise. Like, you don't really see the love that you not the love, but before the beginning of the season, you know that something was there with Riley, but Lucas wasn't really sure. Then Girl Meets Texas came on, and then all of a sudden it was a big mass confusion, which was not even touched on at all in this episode. It just seemed like everybody had their own resolve behind the scenes, and nobody was awkward. Maya wasn't awkward, Riley wasn't awkward, and Lucas wasn't awkward. But you can tell they're trying to have Lucas gravitate towards Riley, even though you really don't see any chemistry with those two. They're more platonic than they are boyfriend and girlfriend. They're like best friends, which is good. But I don't see anything else more than that. And they're trying to make something that isn't there. And with Maya, it just seemed like nothing really fazed her. I'm like, before you were all like in a Twitter trying to figure out why you were feeling this way, and now all of a sudden you're resolved? That's the only problem that I have with this episode. They didn't really touch on what happened with Girl Meets Texas. That wasn't even an idea. Not to mention, there was no Zay in this episode, which was kind of interesting. You didn't really explain what happened to him. He just wasn't there. But despite all that, it is interesting the fact that you actually did touch on the belief. I didn't expect them to actually say God, but they actually said God. And I was like, wow. I thought they were going to try to say, oh, the heavens or the cosmos or some way to try to avoid saying the word God. But they actually did say his name several times. They even talked about prayer and how they pray every night and their beliefs, especially their beliefs in God. I never really thought they would ever do that. Ever. I was amazed and floored by it, and I love that. I really do. But I will say that this episode might be a mixed bag with some people. They might not like it. They might be uncomfortable with it. But honestly, there's a few that may love it, and there's a few that will love the fact they actually mentioned God's name. And not even so much God's name, but actually just touched on the whole fact of belief, prayer, religion, what have you. and especially about your beliefs in God. I never thought they would ever do that. I would never thought they would. I wouldn't be surprised people try to protest this thing. But honestly, it was a great way to get it out there. There's a lot of people in their age at this point that's not really sure what they believe in. But that episode shows that you are still, like, you're still you, and not only you're still you, people love you no matter what you believe in. And that's the one thing that I kind of caught from this. And I love how Corey kind of had that whole spin with Farkle, kind of saying, okay, you say that the air is clear, but there's no proof saying the air is clear. What's behind you? Apartment buildings. What's in the apartment buildings? How do you know? Because you can't see them. You can't see through the window. The window's closed. I actually thought that was pretty cool. I mean, he didn't say that verbatim. I mean, I didn't say that. Well, he didn't say what I said verbatim, but he was trying to you get the whole gist of the idea. But honestly, guys, that was a really great episode. I really did enjoy it. And not to mention, it actually did show how well Riley and Maya's relationship is starting to grow. And they're starting to understand each other as young women. And I think that's the really huge, important part of this episode. I can't necessarily say the same thing happened with the guys. The guys still didn't really learn much about each other, but it's a really, really slow growing phase. But it's getting there. And you can tell that, and even with Farkle, the one thing Farkle's like, how can we be best friends if we don't believe the same thing? And that was something that he was trying to figure out. But it seems like there's more respect there between Lucas and Farkle than best friends or anything. It just seemed like there's more of a respect and admiration towards one another than it is like the bond that Riley and Maya had. But they're starting to grow as young women. Lucas is starting to learn a few things. And I will also say that Farkle's learning a lot more than Lucas. But Lucas has a lot of growing up to do. But like I said before, my only gripe that I had was they were really rushing the fact that they were trying to put trying to put Riley and Lucas together. And they even had the dad being all weird about having Lucas in her room. But honestly, the thing is this. They need to stop rushing this. But when you actually do see a rush like that, something is telling me that it may not be a third season. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother video in itself. But guys, I'm just going to say this. My overall thoughts of this is this. I really did enjoy it. I love the fact of how they touched on God. I love the fact they touched on God, prayer, belief, other people's beliefs, respect for other people's beliefs, and how they actually conveyed that the best way possible. They did a great job in doing this. I enjoyed every part about this episode. But guys, I want to hear your personal thoughts. Leave a comment in the comment section below. What did you think of Girl Meets Belief? Do you feel the same way they felt? Did you go through the same experience? I'm curious to hear what you guys feel about this episode. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Naturegirl 30 signing off. Peace out, guys. Later.